All right, this video is dedicated to doing light and shadow. Now, someone asked me to do that, and I told them that I did that, but I didn't know where it was. It's in another video, and it was not really dedicated to light and shadow. So searching for it, you'll never be able to find it because it's part of me drawing something. And during the drawing process, I started to show how to do light and shadow. And I think it was in the inking, one of my inking videos. So this one is dedicated to light and shadow. For those people who are actually trying to find that, it's going to be light and shadow, so it's right there and you don't have to search for it. So the first thing to do is two important things that when you're doing light and shadow. The first thing is your direction of your light. What direction is it coming in, and how strong is it? Is it like just a little strong, or is it like crazy strong? Is it like one light bulb from a hotel room that's like going out, like you're doing like a murder mystery or something, and you have a little light bulb? Or is it from the sun itself? Or is it like a searchlight, a spotlight that's, on somebody, whatever a spotlight looks like? So that's the important thing, is that, come on computer, camera, don't screw up on me. That's the most important things, the direction and the intensity of the light. So is it going to be a big difference if he's inside a room, or if he's outside, or if it's dark and, he's on the roof somewhere and there's a bat signal shining at the guy? So yeah, very important. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, where am I? Where's my situation? Am I just going to draw, the guy standing there, just looking cool, and I just want to put some shadow on the guy? Or am I drawing an actual room where there's, stuff in the room, and again, there's a light, maybe there's like something over here, and there's a lamp here, and a light here, because you can have multiple light sources, but one should be brighter than the other, and this one just gives you that little extra added light. But it depends on that's all on you, what you are drawing, what scene you are drawing, and how much light is in there. Now once you get that in your head, then you have to say, oh, let me back up. You have your scene, because it's hard for me to teach you something when I don't know what it is that you actually need it for, shall we say. So you might not want to do a room, you might want to do a character, or you might want to do an outside jungle scene or something like that. So I have to try to show you what I can to fit what it is that you need. So again, first thing is you have to see your scene. Then you have to say to yourself, where's my light coming from? Then you say to yourself, how much light is coming down on that thing, or that person, or that whatever. Once you get that, then you have to understand the contours of a thing, like a face. Let's just say, here's your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. And this is what people do basically with a face. But you have to understand, you have that brow that goes up. The brow covers that eye. You have the basis for that cheekbone that comes down. This is shadow. You have a cheekbone right here that picks up a lot of light, and it goes down on the side of your face. There, you have your head, which kind of, I don't want to say splits. That's not the right word, but it curves right around in here. Now go back and look at the video I did on faces. That was a good video, and it tells you about the contours of the face. So when you do put shadow on, or when you are doing your light and shadow, you'll know where more light will hit and less light will hit. Same thing is if you're doing, let's just say, it's kind of a triangle, and it's not a triangle, it's something else. So this, and this. So you have all these sides, right? So let's just say your light is coming this direction. You have your object first, have your light, your light, what is lighting it, and what direction it's coming from. So I don't want to use black because black is going to be black. Let's use a pencil. So if the light is coming from here, this is going to be the lightest and this is going to be the darkest. Whatever is furthest from the light is going to be the darkest. And unless you're like a pro inker, it's going to be hard. If you're doing pencil, sorry, you didn't see that. My camera is still upside down. I have to get a good camera. And for those who don't understand what I'm saying, I am unable to flip my camera to get a panoramic view. So I have to flip my monitor so that I can get that panoramic view, but it's kind of filming from a different direction, almost upside down. Anyway, my problem, not yours. So again, knowing the contours, the amount of light and the direction of the light, it's hard to do it with a pen. So if the light was coming down here, this top part is going to be lit, and doing shading, it's going to be light here and transition to dark here just because, and this is going to be lighter and this is going to be darker just because. So if I did something like this and I faded it in, and you can't do that with an ink pen because it's just not set up like that. That's where you do cross hatching or hatching like that. So if you had light source here, your contours, this is going to be the darkest right here because it's furthest away from the light. That's going to be the brightest. And then you just kind of like transition from one shade to the next. Like that. You should be able to see that. Let's make this a little darker. Hopefully you can see that. And this a little darker as well. So by knowing the contours, you'll know where the light hits and where the light does not hit, or was going to hit brighter and hit darker. So doing the face, I was going to say something between this contour and the face. Oh, yeah. Again, you can't do that with ink. So you're going to have to learn how to do more like hatching. I mean, you have your solid, I'll do the small. You'll have a solid black, which is fine. But then if you don't want solid black, you want lines. And the way to do that is just have your lines close together or far apart. And then that gives you a texture, not a texture, but a shade. And then this could be like solid white. Now, if you wanted to blend more, you can actually, or transition. What's my words today? It's early morning. From light to dark. Then you bring your lines a little closer. And have space to close lines. Then if you want it darker, you can actually go the other direction with your lines. And that's the part I should be doing with an ink pen, but I haven't. Same thing here. If you want a little darker here, going down here, like keep your lines close together. If you wanted to kind of like become lighter, open your lines up. Now, the contour of the thing, what does this man look like? He has something hanging down. Yeah, I didn't see that. the shape of it also determines which way your lines are going to go. If you're doing any kind of hatching, cross hatching, or feathering, it has to go with the shape. Let's just say this. If I did this square, I'll do 2 squares, making sure you can see that. 2 squares, okay? 2 rectangles. Now if I did this, that makes that flat. But if I did this, that makes that round. And it's still a flat piece of paper. So depending on how you do your feathering or hatching determines the shape of a thing. So if I did a leg, this leg right here, here's a foot, and I wanted some light going around there, I'll have to curve. And always turn your paper when you ink. Always turn your paper. Never tape your paper down and then try to break your wrist trying to get your lines right. Turn your paper, very simple. Camera's gonna screw up on me because I did that. And then deliberately make your lines round, each line like that to fit the shape of whatever it is you are doing. Like that. Now if I did this, it would make that leg look flat. One leg looks flat and the other leg looks round because of what the line that I did. Now again with the face, you have to learn your contours of your face. And this is kind of got that roundness to it here, going down to the chin. This sucks in, this is up, this goes in here, and your chin kind of sticks out like that. So depending on your direction of your light, mainly doing faces, determines what kind of shadow you're going to have. Now, let me use a little bit of a reference sake, if I can grab it. These guys always give me a hard time. Okay. So this guy here, I have an overhead light. It's like if this was the room, my light is like right here against the wall. So you're gonna, because it's coming down, you're gonna see that shadow. You're gonna see that shadow because the light is coming straight down. Now if let's see if I can do it, but like did this, the light source is coming from this direction. So everything on this side is lit up and everything on the other side is dark. But this is extremely strong because the guy is like right here. But if I pull them away a little bit, well, it goes dark because it's way dark over here. So that's not going to work. Let's just say I bring the light up. Let's see if I can stand this guy up. But she won't because my table is angled. And my camera is bad. This is bad for my camera. It's a bad camera angle. If I take them back and I bring the light away. Different direction. Now you notice the shadow, how the shadow is going around. That's something else when you're doing a cast shadow. Where is the light? Is the light going to be above? Is it going to be like down? The more the different angle of the light determines the longer the shadow is going to be. It's the same thing if you go outside and you look at like a post or like a flagpole and you see the shadow like here for a second and then, you know, as the day goes on, it turns around like that. So if you notice like the head, shadow on his head as well, it moves. All right, getting back to the contour of the line. Now, if the contour of the object, let's slow down, Brian. It's early and you haven't had breakfast. If you notice the light source is like on his chest, on the top of his delts, a little bit right here on the bicep, on the top of the abs. Any shape that's closest to the light is going to get more light. You have to understand the contour of the body. Let's bring out the big gun, one of the big guns. Now this was a Snake Eyes. This is a 12-inch Snake Eyes character. Somebody said they never made a 12-inch Snake Eyes. Yes, they did, but it was just so poorly done. It really never got any recognition. So again, same thing. If you're doing the chest here, let me slide them over. Here's the chest. Let me bust out my ink pen now. Here's the chest right here, right? And the chest is going to be curved like that. Now, you're going to get some high points like right here, up in here, because it's close to the light. But this is also goes up like this. It goes up and then it goes like this. So this little corner piece here, of course, that's going to get light because it's the highest point. Again, here, the highest point is going to be right here. And that's something that you can do. Once you get your shapes, you can say, where's the highest point? The highest point is going to be like right here, could be here. But you don't want to do like this because it's going to make it look shiny. Okay, this is going to be a low point here and it's going to come out. So it's going to be a high point here or across here. And that all depends on the shape of the muscle as well. Let's just say the abs. Let's say in the crease is going to be dark anyway. So or you can reverse that, but we're not going to reverse that. So the highest point on the abs are going to be like right here and here. You do that line here, there, and there. It's going to be like there and here. You just kind of like trace out where your high points or your light's going to hit. Now let's get back to the big snake eyes here. Again, like I say, you see, put the top back on. You see like here in the striations of the chest, these little extra lines, they're called like the striations, just extra muscly, you know, it's muscle fibers. You know, when you get that rip, you have these muscle fibers. And a lot of times when you see me draw a chest, I'll do like this. Put that across. Let's just do another one. I'll do a chest like this. And if you're like really muscular, I'll do these. And that's just a muscle fiber. And it actually will catch the light because the way that's shaped, it dips down and it comes out like this. So yeah, the highest point on that is going to catch the light. So if I did a cylinder like this, and another cylinder like that, and another cylinder like this, of course shadow is going to be here, and the light is going to be right up in here. And that's the same thing with doing like striations in the chest. It's shaped like that. So when you see this extra light going across here, or this extra shadow, that's all it is. But your high point, and it's best to have something shiny to be able to see it. The high point, like on the abs, are here, and I can see the light better than you can. Yeah, let's turn it on the corners because, as I said, my light is like coming from that angle. And if you turn it, you'll see the light's coming from here more than there. But you see this line, you see a light line. It's like I forgot what that's called. That's not a cast shadow. It should be down here. I'm gonna find out. Meaning if I drew something like this, here's mine. And I always do the oval. Notice how I always do that. Come on, show up, do right. Here, give you something else to look at. Thank you. This. I always do this. So for those people that are having trouble doing the chest or doing whatever, it's the beetle. Follow the beetle thing. So what was I saying? Okay, so this and an arm here and an arm here. What you want to do is, what that is you have that, what is it? It's reflective light. Light can be reflective off almost anything. So if I'm doing this character or this drawing, and let's just say this is going to be black, I have that reflective light coming off of that part of the arm. So let's just say this is black. I'm gonna blacken this out. Right here, and then you have this, the light could be coming from under the arm right here, but you have to follow the muscle when doing it. And two things that does, it helps, what am I trying to say? As I try to ink and talk at the same time, it helps define one surface from the next surface. You can see where the other arm starts and the chest ends. And that's a reflective light. So back to what I was saying. As you turn, you see more your high points here in the back. So you have to understand how the muscle is shaped, or how any object is shaped. And what is this? This is just something my daughter put on him. He was sitting around. He's dusty. He's been sitting around on my shelf naked, and my daughter just saw this and put a diaper on him one day, just, I guess, to cover up his nudity. So yeah, even the collarbone, you see how the collarbone is lit. And if you can buy a cheap toy, I tell everybody, try to have as much reference as you can. So when you run into your little sticky points, you can look at it. Now his arms don't bend, any of the good stuff. It just goes up and down the same way his leg just goes up and down. I mean, if you can get something like this is great, but I think this was like $100 and some because I bought the one that had all the gadgets. It's got a bunch of hands. Now, this is why my videos get long. It had a bunch of hands to it, and some swords, and some guns. Where's my camera? My camera has been moved, so it's upside down. So this was like the deluxe edition. It's a laptop and a, whatever, but stop it, Brian. Get back into the inking, into shadow. But yeah, if you can afford something like this, it's great. But if you just have any little toy, you can use that for lighting and so forth. As I said, you can turn it up, bad camera angle, or down, and you see where the high points are going to catch, like the muscle. The high point is going to catch the light. So if I turn this up, it moves here. So that's another thing about lighting. All right, again, you have to know the structure of any object. And the light is, your eyes are wet, so it's going to reflect some light. So that's why you see sometimes you see that shadow, but you still see the eye, because the eye is, it's white, number one, and two is wet, and it's going to reflect. So you have like some shadow here, and this goes out like that. The muzzle piece goes out like that, and so does your chin, but your chin will tuck in here and there, and then depending on the direction that your light is coming down, your head could be shadowed here, and since it's round, something like that. Or the opposite way, your cheekbones are high, so that's going to catch light here and maybe be shadowed under there. And of course, again, this is back in. So if I did the side face, remember how to draw a face, Brian? I do sometimes. It's going to be like that. This is going to be this part where your eye is. If your light is coming down here, you might get some shadow on the side of your face. This is going to give a shadow under the nose. Your upper lip is higher or comes out more than your bottom lip. Your chin comes out here, so this will be shadow under here. This is going to catch light. Under here, you're going to catch shadow. One on the top, as I said, you have the little collar, the cheekbone here goes in. So it's going to be kind of like this. You're going to some shadow here, light here, some shadow back here, and a lot of light up here. So you have to know the contours, first of all, of whatever you're drawing. And since you can't color, shall we say, a shadow like this, it's going to be line work, mostly line work. So the first thing you do is say, okay, shadow here, and this is going to be black shadow there. Makes it easy. Now you can do all black shadow. You don't have to do any hatching. I mean, this whole thing could be just in black shadows. And that's kind of easy to do if you're new to trying to do inking. It's not an inking tutorial, it's a shadow, light and shadow tutorial. But if not, and you're doing like hatching, as I say, you're gonna have to remember the contour of the object. So this whole thing is round. It's all round, really. So whatever lines you do are gonna have to follow that roundness. So if you want strong shadow here coming out to a lighter shadow, you can have thick to thin lines, as in like thick to thin, or you can bring them closer together to give it that darker, kind of like fades out here. The more space you put in between something, or as I said, the thick to thin lines, to give it that more light and dark effect, until you get all the way into just solid black. All right, just a quick rehash of everything. Quick rehash of everything. Fade on me. Okay, here's my character right here. My character is in a room. He's next to his dresser. And this is just some whatever. And standing next to, let's just say a lamp. Let's make this a little interesting. He's standing next to his lamp. So the light is on. So the light is coming from this direction. I don't give him too much muscle. Actually, from your lamp, it's going to be like this. Coming out, the lines of those lights are going to be radiating. So it's going to go all the way down. But since he's closest to this part here is going to be the brightest. And this part is going to be the darkest. So if I was shading with a pencil, which I'm not, this would kind of be almost black. It could kind of be almost black. But if he's just in a room, a dark room with that lamp, that's one thing. But if he's got an overhead lamp light here, or track lighting that goes all the way across, different type shadow. So as I say, you're going to have to know your subject, where your subject is, the amount of light and the direction of the light. So let's just say this. So just being overly shadowed, the highest points are going to get the light, the most light, or the closest point is going to get to the most light. So I'm going to do something like this. So this light's coming here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So this is where that most of that light, that brilliant light, is coming from. Lighting him up there. Now, I don't want all this black, so I want to say, okay, the highest point is like here on the side of his abs. It's going to get dark here. So you can have just a little light here, here. If the guy had like some clothes or belt or something like that, you would see, let's put a belt on him. You would see the edges of that shape of the belt. Maybe some of the wrinkles. Remember when we were doing this, I'm showing you this and the striations in the chest, these extra lines in the chest here, the light. If this guy had clothes, don't mess up on me, you would see like the lines, because a wrinkle is on clothes is kind of like this, basically. That's all it is. So anything high point like that is going to catch light. Anything dark is going, or low, is going to catch shadow. So if this guy had, let's just do this, some clothes or pants on his wrinkle, this is going to catch the light. Like that, even there. Same thing with a shirt. If he had any wrinkles in a shirt, it would catch the light, but I'm not going to get the wrinkles in the shirt. So let's just say a little bit of the bicep, some of this arm, and let's just say this is all bright light here. So I'm not going to really do too much there. So let me ink this with just really quick ink. And all this was self-taught. So if somebody, oh, he didn't do that right, that's not right, that's not right. This was self-taught. I taught myself how to draw. I looked at examples. I followed, I read, I did these things to teach myself how to draw. So, I'm no college art graduate or anything like that. I did what I did to learn for myself, and I'm teaching other people to do. Now, once you get this little knowledge that I give you, if that's enough for you to produce your book or your drawing, great. If you need more, take that and go learn more from schools or more books or whatever. But I know a lot of people don't have the money to go to school. They don't have the money to do this. They don't have the money to do a lot of things. They just have paper and pencil and a desire to draw. And those are the people that I'm trying to help with my limited skills or knowledge of this. So this is why I do that. And I forgot the guy was like, oh, you can't draw. It's not about me drawing. It's about me teaching you how to draw. So go here, what did I say? Here. So it's like here, go here. Now, like I say, once you get to the close, you get like this light that shows you, or the contour that shows you where the light is. And let's just say we go down here. We have this would probably be another one here. The chest, maybe the center, or put this piece right here. Since this is round, not only would this part be, but you probably get some light here. The top of the bicep right there. This here. This is going to be light. Let's just do this. Just say this is the eye. This is the nose. What am I doing? Light. I'm doing, so shadow would be over here and here. Let's combine all that shadow together. And here, this is light. And again, the wrinkles would catch light there. This is all light. So, I mean, if I wanted to just kind of like darken it here, maybe do some hatching, some feathering to show where the actual shadow part is in this poor excuse for an arm. So this is going to be light. I'm not going to take light into shadow. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so here's my thing, and here's my dresser. So the light's coming from here. We have my dresser knobs. Now, because you have a drawer over a drawer, it's going to be black in here. Same thing there. Same thing there. Now, if you need to be dark, remember the lines I said? Let's just say, how would I do that? I don't want to round it off, because rounding it off kind of makes it round like that. Yeah, you can, depending on the type of light, or like I said, the direction of light, but just say since that, let's just do this. And it's really hard to give furniture and other solid, straight objects shadow, but to do this, that means you got some extreme, intense light. So you could have like the shadow from the doorknobs, or the little knobs handles. But I really wouldn't give surface light. That's what I was trying to say. Surface light to really any objects, unless I had to. Just the little lights that are necessary, like under the knobs or in between the cracks. Something like this would mean you got some really extreme light coming from over here. Like that. So if I did this guy, and by doing this, it just basically, you know, in the contours of something where it's the high point and the low point. And as I was saying, you can have reflective light. Instead of just like I did here, take the black all the way to the edge, I could have an edge right here to the side of his leg. That way you'll know where it ends. Because if I had a black object back here, let's just say I had some black box or something back here, and this was solid black, and I wanted to show where his leg ended and the black box or whatever began. You would leave that space lit right there. So that you can make out that piece, that box. That's light, this is shadow. Okay, so this would be extremely intense light, but you can see where the light is hitting because of the contour. That's the word I can say. So if I wanted to do from this to this, then I would do like hatching there and shadow there and a little bit there, and it's kind of like a transition to a hard light to a shadow. Like if there's a belt, there's going to be a shadow under the belt. Then I would transition from, this is the high point of the wrinkle right here, this piece here. So I would go from the low part of the wrinkle like that, this, that, there, and maybe put some wrinkles over on this side here. And the same thing with the arm, because this light is closest, this would be dark. This would be a thicker line right here because it's furthest from the light, shall we say. And this is under here, just blocked by that light there. I wouldn't really do line weight right here because it's really close to the line. And then your face, well, this was actually meant to be like really all black here. And then you would see the face, just the shadow parts of the face, which would be here and the nose and some cheekbone like that. But yeah, and if you wanted to get crazy, then you could have, like, depending on where he was standing, like some of his shadow on the furniture, like his arm or whatever, casting a shadow on the furniture. But that's, you know, that's your crazy kind of light when you start doing some serious light and shadow. But it also depends on where the guy was standing. This is more your murder mystery kind of thing where you want to have it like really, really dark, and then just your light source on the part that you really need. And that's going to be the part that jumps out, or the part that's roundest, like in his face, like, you know, the chin, the forehead, the nose, the line on the nose. So hopefully you can see that because it's really small on my monitor. Even like this, the reflective light, if this was metal, it would come down, I would say about like right here. And then you could go like black. And then since the light is actually going down, I would have it like this. Give it like that shape to it, and the rest could be black. Like that, and then you can probably have it fade up into that light source. But I don't want this video to go too long. And whatever else was on the wall, if there's a picture on the wall, you have to know the contours of that picture, the ins and the outs, ups and downs. This is going to be bright. This is going to be the darkest edge. This is going to get light. This is going to be the darkest right here. This is further back, so this is probably going from a thick to a thin here. You're probably going to have a shadow coming off of here, depending on how high the light is. If the light was high, the shadow will be underneath of it. Not much of a shadow, but still, if you're doing like light and shadow. If the light is low, the shadow will be on top of it. And you wouldn't have a lot of shadow because it's right there on the wall. So if your line is here, your frame is here, your shadow will probably be no thicker than this. Because as I said, it's right there on the wall. And then you have your inside of your frame. And since frames curve around, you might have a little line like this. And this is getting really, really detailed. And as I say, from thick here to thin going to your source light. And I'm going to end it right there. So hopefully you can digest what I showed you. And it did help, because I could keep going with little things over and over and over and over. And I'm going to write a book one day, if I'm not lazy enough to do it. So hopefully that got you knowing more light and shadow. First three things, most important thing is your light source. What is it? The sun, a light bulb, spotlight, whatever. How intense is it, and what direction is it going in to light whatever subject you are doing? Know your contour of your object that's being lit, and from there you're good to go. Light's coming from the top. This is going to be lit the most. This is going to be dark, and then on the sides you'll have either a transition. You can either have a transition from dark to light, or you can have like a gray. Like this could be a darker gray, and it's going to be a lighter gray. But if you're not using grays, then you would have to do your lines. The closer your lines are, the darker it is. The further apart your lines are, the more lighter that surface represents. And if you need more darkness, then go in the opposite direction, cross-hatching, and then spread your lines out more to give it a lighter transition. So on that note, I'm going to call this one quits. And yeah, if you liked it, if you got anything from it, give me a thumbs up. I mean, it takes a split second to just hit that little button to give me a thumbs up, because YouTube looks for that stuff. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm trying to get me a good camera so I don't have to do all these crazy tricks and so forth. And yeah, and for somebody to say, where did you get this? This was probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years old, 20 years old. You really can't find them unless you get on eBay. It's 12-inch snake eyes, and it was really cheap. It was really crap. It didn't even, this is the only thing that had snake eyes. It was blonde and a little scar. But other than that, don't try to find this. Don't try to find it. All right, class dismissed.